Good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV, where we bring to you the complete roundup of the day's biggest news stories from India and across the world. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the latest headlines. Deadlock continues in Parliament for 7th day over demonetization issue. Opposition members in Upper House demand apology from Prime Minister over remarks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hits out at the opposition, says demonetization empowered the common man, while critics are flustered as they did not get time to prepare. New RBI guidelines say defunct 500 and 1000 rupee notes will continue to be exchanged for new currency at RBI counters. Banks to accept demonetized notes as deposits. Supreme Court to hear petitions challenging demonetization on 2nd of December. Court to examine inconvenience and constitutional validity of the 8th of November notification. And an army jawan and 2 militants killed in an encounter in North Kashmir's Bandipora district. Search operation underway in Sopore after inputs about presence of militants in that area. Well, first up, news from Parliament. Rajya Sabha proceedings were affected on Friday over opposition's demand for an apology from the Prime Minister for allegedly implying that they support black money. Now, the government rubbished the allegations. The standoff between the government and the opposition led to several adjournments through the day, paralysing the legislative business.
For the 7th day in a row, the stalemate over the demonetization issue disrupted the upper house of Parliament. The Prime Minister's rebuke to critiques of demonetization didn't go down well with the opposition parties. Upping the ante against the Prime Minister, the opposition joined ranks in condemning his statement outside Parliament and demanded his apology.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आज सुबह कहा कि अपोजिशन इज फेवरिंग ब्लैक मनी, ये तो पूरे सदन का अपमान है, ये पूरी अपोजिशन का अपमान है। कल हमने प्राइम मिनिस्टर की प्रेजेंस में बता दिया था कि हम ब्लैक मनी के खिलाफ हैं। हमने जब बताया कि एंटायर अपोजिशन ब्लैक मनी के खिलाफ है, तो फिर प्रधानमंत्री जी आज कैसे कह सकते हैं कि अपोजिशन पार्टीज ब्लैक मनी के फेवर में है? इसके लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को सदन में अपोजिशन से माफी मांगनी चाहिए।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी हाउस के अंदर ना बोलते, हाउस के बाहर बार-बार ये कह रहे हैं और आज भी उन्होंने इस बात को दोहराया है कि यदि अपोजिशन को 72 घंटे का समय दे दिया जाता इस फैसले को लेने से पहले, तो शायद ये मेरा विरोध नहीं करते, मेरी तारीफ करते। ये इन्होंने एक तरीके से अपोजिशन के को ऊपर हमला बोला, ये कहा है कि हम लोग काले धन का समर्थन कर रहे हैं।
ये कहा गया कि पूरा अपोजिशन को यदि हम पहले बता देते तो सारा अपोजिशन अपना काला धन बचा लेता। तो सादा आपके साथ बैठ करके ये जो बात कही गई है कि सारा अपोजिशन जो है वो पूरी तरह से इस काले धन के बारे में इसलिए नाराज है कि इनको बताया नहीं गया था। ये बहुत गंभीर आरोप है, इसलिए प्रधानमंत्री को आकर के इस मामले में
everyone who opposes this policy, that does not mean he is a saint and we are all devils. Why is he having this problem?
The government was quick to refute all the claims of the opposition and criticize it for the continuing disruption.
सदन उसका नोटिस नहीं देगा। ये तो पहली दफा मैं सुन रहा हूँ सर। ये तो मैं पहली दफा सुन रहा हूँ।
The Congress, TMC and BSP members entered the well demanding Prime Minister's apology. Green Pass told 0 hour and question hour. Even in the post-lunch session, the logjam persisted. With little signs of reconciliation, the chair adjourned the House till Monday.
House stands adjourned till 11 a.m. on Monday.
With inputs from Vishal Dhaya and Panchanan Mishra, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, things were not better off even in lower house as Friday became the 7th consecutive day when proceedings were disrupted in Lok Sabha over the demonetization issue. The opposition wanted the Prime Minister's presence in the House. Now, some opposition parties had also given an adjournment motion on the issue, but these were dismissed by the Speaker.
As soon as proceedings began in Lok Sabha on Friday, there was opposition uproar demanding a discussion on demonetization. MPs of all opposition parties were united in their demand despite Speaker Sumitra Mahajan appealing to them to let the House function. Owing to the uproar, the Speaker adjourned the House till 12 noon.
Please, go. You don't want to discuss or anything, something. What is this going on? Please. No, this will not do. I'm sorry. The House stands adjourned to meet again at 12 o'clock.
Several opposition parties had given adjournment motions to enable a discussion on the note ban. They wanted a discussion under Rule 56 and the Prime Minister's presence in the House.
When it is the necessity of the hour and important that we want to find out a solution, that how the House can function and run. On the very day, in a function where you were present, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji uttered some comments which have hurt against the opposition parties. Madam, I tell you one thing, you are on the custodian of the House. Where he has said those accusing government of not being prepared.
When the House reassembled, the situation was unchanged. The Speaker then adjourned the House for the day. This was the 7th day of adjournments in Parliament. With inputs from Ravindra Shoran and Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again put forth the government's point of view on demonetization on Friday at a function held inside Parliament premises. The Prime Minister said that some people had amassed illegal wealth by misusing and misinterpreting the Constitution and the law of the land. He also justified the decision to ban high denomination notes.
As the debate over demonetization continues, Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again made some remarks on the issue. At a book launch event in Parliament premises, the PM said there was opposition to the move just because the sudden announcement did not give people the time to turn their black money into white.
मैं समझता हूं कि मुद्दा ये नहीं है कि सरकार ने पूरी तैयारी नहीं की। ऐसे लोगों की पीड़ा इस बात की है कि सरकार ने किसी को तैयारी करने का समय नहीं दिया।
After the event in the national capital, the Prime Minister headed to Bhatinda, where he reiterated his resolve to fight black money and corruption.
भ्रष्टाचारियों को फिर से अगर उठने नहीं देना है, काले धन वालों को उठने नहीं देना है, तो मैं देशवासियों से आग्रह करता हूं कि आप अपने मोबाइल फोन में ही बैंक का ब्रांच बना दो।
However, these statements from the Prime Minister failed to pacify the opposition. They say that all opposition parties backed the government in the fight against black money, but the Prime Minister was misleading the public. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also demanded that the Prime Minister make a statement in Parliament.
जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री हैं वो लोकसभा में आकर डिस्कशन नहीं करते। मेन इशू ये है, जैसे प्रधानमंत्री लोकसभा में आएंगे दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा। वो अंदर नहीं बैठना चाहते हैं।
पूरे विपक्ष को बेईमान बता देना सारे देश को, ये एक प्रधानमंत्री को अच्छा नहीं लगता, उनको शोभा नहीं देता। ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। नेचुरली नेताओं विपक्ष में नाराजगी है और विपक्ष माफी की मांग कर रहा है।
यदि प्रधानमंत्री जी सही मायने में ईमानदार हैं और इसके पीछे उनका कोई अपना राजनीतिक स्वार्थ नहीं है, तो फिर यही बात इनको संसद के अंदर बोलने में दिक्कत क्यों जा रही है?
It shows PM is also desperate and disturbed at his own decision, which has put the entire country into turmoil, and it has subjected common people in hardships. Now PM is trying to blame the entire opposition.
Since the announcement banning 500 and 1,000 rupee notes on November 8, the country's politics has revolved around the issue. The opposition has been demanding the Prime Minister's statement on demonetization inside Parliament. With inputs from Panchanan Mishra, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was also in Punjab today, where he laid a foundation stone for the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Bathinda district. Well, during the event, he spoke about problems faced by farmers in the state and also the surgical strikes carried out by the Indian Army. Now, Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal and other ministers were also present at the function. Remember, Punjab is going to the assembly polls in 2017.
Raising the campaign pitch in Punjab ahead of the assembly elections in 2017, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday said he's concerned more about the welfare of farmers than election arithmetics. He vowed that his government would ensure that the Indus River, which is in dispute with Pakistan, will flow again in the state and provide relief to farmers.
जिसमें हिंदुस्तान के हक का पानी है जो पाकिस्तान में बह जाता है, अब वो बूंद बूंद पानी रोक करके मैं पंजाब के, जम्मू कश्मीर के, हिंदुस्तान के किसानों के लिए वो पानी लाने के लिए प्रदर्शन करता हूं.
Raking up the issue of Indian Army's surgical strike along the line of control in September, Modi asserted it has destroyed Pakistani establishments.
हमारी सेना की ताकत देखिए, 250 किलोमीटर लंबे पथ पे जब हमारे सेना के बहादुर जवानों ने सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक किया, सीमा पार बड़ा हड़कंप मच गया.
Earlier, the Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Bathinda. The 750-bed hospital and institute will be built at a cost of 925 crore rupees and will be spread over 200 acres. He also attended a function related to the 350th Prakash Utsav of Guru Gobind Singh in Anandpur Sahib. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And continuing with the news related to the aftermaths of demonetization, well, overworked bank employees can now heave a sigh of relief with the Reserve Bank of India and the central government's announcement of completely banning exchange of old 500 and 1000 rupee notes. These notes can, however, be exchanged at RBI offices. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court said that it will hear the petitions on 2nd of December related to demonetization.
As the demonetization drive entered its third week, the Reserve Bank of India announced that the exchange of banned 500 and 1000 rupee notes for new currency had been stopped at all banks but can be exchanged at RBI counters. The demonetized 500 and 1000 rupee notes will have to be deposited in bank accounts only. Old 500 notes can be used for recharging prepaid mobile phones. Toll collection on national highways also stands suspended till the 2nd of December, after which old 500 rupee notes will be accepted till the 15th of December. Relaxing some norms, foreign citizens are now permitted to exchange foreign currency up to 5,000 rupees per week. Entry to this effect will be made in their passports. However, purchase from consumer cooperative stores have been limited to 5,000 rupees at a time.
जब भी हमें छुट्टी लेनी पड़ी है तो ऑफिस का काम तो सफर कर रहा है और देश के प्रगति में ये खुद एक बाधा हो रहा है कि हम कुछ काम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. हर दूसरे दिन जाकर हमें लाइन में लगना पड़ रहा है.
It is a clean move by the government, which we all appreciate, and we are proud that we were part of this cleaning action, and we hope we have a better, cleaner India in the near future.
I support the decision taken by the Modi ji, but at the same time I strongly oppose the way and procedure taken by the government, and the NDA government is totally failed by expecting the circumstances be common after taking the decision of Modi.
In order to grasp the ground situation, the central government came out on the streets with a Sankalp March. Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, Delhi's BJP Chief Satish Upadhyay and MP Pravesh Verma led the march in New Delhi on Friday. The BJP claimed the march received positive response from the public.
दिल्ली के कार्यकर्ताओं ने यहाँ पर संकल्प लिया है और शपथ ली है, लेकिन ये सही मायनों में संकेत है 125 करोड़ देशवासियों की भावना का. आज देश का गरीब आदमी, किसान आदमी, मजदूर आदमी, हर क्षेत्र का, हर वर्ग का, हर प्रांत का, हर भाषा को बोलने वाला, हर इलाके से, हर स्तर का व्यक्ति, उसके मन में एक ही भाव है, श्रद्धा का भाव नरेंद्र मोदी के लिए.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court will hear a batch of petitioners on the 2nd of December. The bench said it will examine both aspects, inconvenience and constitutional validity of the matter. However, Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi, appearing for the centre, has been asked to file additional affidavit explaining the scheme and steps taken by the centre to ease the situation that has arisen due to demonetization. The centre's plea to the Apex Court of transferring all the petitions to either Supreme Court or one of the High Courts remains pending. With inputs from Anu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In news tonight, we'll take a very short break. More news lined up on the other side. Stay with us.
When we see stars with the naked eye, we see them twinkle. And that is not because that the star itself is twinkling, it is because the light is passing through the Earth's atmosphere. Disturbances or irregularities in the atmosphere cause the twinkling. One of the Nobel Prizes in physics was given to people who studied one very particular interesting pulsar.
Watch Eureka with Senior Professor Yashwant Gupta, Dean of GMRT Observatory, Pune on Rajya Sabha television. Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. News now from Jammu and Kashmir, where two encounters broke out between security forces and militants in Bandipora and Baramulla districts early today. In Bandipora, one Jawan of the 13 Rashtriya Rifles and two militants were killed in the gunfight that lasted several hours. Now, combing operation is currently on in the area. Well, two policemen also lost their lives in Kulgam, where a group of militants attacked a petrol party.
Another encounter between security forces and militants in Kashmir's Bandipora district on Friday, the second one within a week. On Tuesday, two terrorists were gunned down in the area. Some new 2,000 rupee notes were also recovered near their bodies. On Friday, security forces launched a search operation in Naidkai village following specific intelligence inputs about the presence of more militants in the area. In the fierce gun battle, at least two terrorists were killed. An army Jawan also lost his life. A gun battle also broke out in Tujar village in Sopore area of Baramulla, following which security forces cordoned off the area. A high alert was issued in Kulgam district as well, where militants opened fire at a petrol party, killing at least two policemen. Defense experts called it an attempt by Pakistan to disturb normalcy in Kashmir.
Pakistan is hell-bent in destabilizing the region of Jammu and Kashmir. They've been trying, all sorts of activities, using their stakeholders which support Pakistans like Hurriyat or extremist Islamic organizations, Now normalcy is returning in Jammu and Kashmir after almost 4 months. So they want to disturb it again,
With militant activity increasing in the valley, there was less movement of people and transport across Kashmir on Friday. Normal life remained affected also due to apprehensions of law and order problems after Friday's congregational prayers. Amid increasing tensions at the border and a sudden influx of militants, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called on the people of Pakistan to ask their government to fight against poverty and black money instead of waging a war against India.
पाकिस्तान के आवाम तय करे, उनके हुक्मनारों से जवाब मांगे। अरे लड़ना है तो भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ लड़ो, लड़ना है तो काले धन के खिलाफ लड़ो, लड़ना है तो जाली नोट के खिलाफ लड़ो, अरे लड़ना है तो गरीबी के खिलाफ लड़ो। ये भारत के साथ लड़ाई लड़के खुद को भी तबाह कर रहे हो और निर्दोषों का मौत के गुनहगार बनते चले जा रहे हैं।
Modi was addressing a rally in Bhatinda, where he also said that Pakistan is destroying itself by fighting against India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news now. Well-noted journalist Dilip Padgaonkar passed away in Pune on Friday. The 72-year-old was admitted in a hospital 4 days ago and died after suffering from a heart attack and multi-organ failure. Now, Padgaonkar was the editor of the Times of India for 6 years. He also served with the UNESCO in Bangkok and Paris from 1978 to 1986. Now, Padgaonkar spoke passionately and tirelessly against communalism, Hindu nationalism and terrorism, among other issues. Now, his thoughts are reflected in his books like When Bombay Burned and in numerous essays and articles. Well, the second chancellor of the prestigious Nalanda University, George Yeo, resigned on Friday after the exit of Nobel laureate Amartya Sen. Now, Yeo reportedly said that the university's autonomy was compromised and changes were made in the leadership without his consent. His move comes after the reconstitution of the university's governing board was approved without his consent. Now, President Pranab Mukherjee, who is the visitor to the university, reportedly cleared the revamp of its governing board on 21st of November. The new governing board will be a 14-member body which will be chaired by the Chancellor. More news from across the nation in Nationwide. The Supreme Court on Friday ordered a ban on the sale of firecrackers in Delhi and NCR due to the pollution caused by these crackers. The court said no fresh licenses for sale of firecrackers will be given and existing licenses will be suspended. The apex court also asked the Central Pollution Control Board to file a reply within 3 months regarding the harmful effects of firecrackers. A massive fire broke out on Friday at a furniture market in Mumbai's Oshiwara area. At least 15 fire engines and 10 water tankers were sent to douse the fire. The officials are trying to arrange for more engines to contain the fire. The reason for the accident is not yet known, but some locals say that some cylinder explosions as a result of fire may have added to the high intensity of the blaze. No casualties or injuries have been reported. A Naxal was on Friday gunned down in an exchange of fire with security forces in Chhattisgarh's Kondagaon district. The incident took place after security personnel launched a counter-insurgency operation and came face-to-face with the armed rebels, leading to a gun battle. The identity of the killed cadre is yet to be ascertained. A CPI MLA was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment by a Kerala court in connection with a provocative speech threatening the police made by him in 2012. A.N. Shamseer, who represents Thalassery in the Assembly, has also been asked to pay a fine of 2,000 rupees. Shamseer, who is currently out on bail, said that he will appeal against the judgment. On to some international news now, with the Islamic State suffering losses in the wake of Iraqi onslaught to retake the city of Mosul, the Sunni terror group escalated its attacks elsewhere in Iraq. On Friday, an explosives-laden truck detonated at a petrol pump near Baghdad, killing at least 100 people. Now, most of the victims were Shia Muslim pilgrims returning from the annual Arbaeen pilgrimage in the Iraqi holy city of Karbala. A high-intensity blast at a petrol pump on a highway southeast of Baghdad resulted in the death of at least 100 people. More than 50 were wounded. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the blast. Most of the victims were on board 4 buses that were refueling at the pump. The majority were Iranian Shiite pilgrims who had travelled to the Iraqi city of Karbala to commemorate Imam Hussein's death.
حدث اليوم هذا الاستهداف التفجير الإجرامي في ناحية الشوملي على طريق السريع اللي شفناه سيارة انفجرت نوع صهريج داخل المحطة وأدت إلى مقتل أكثر من 70 أو 80 شخص استشهدوا بهذا المكان وأغلبيتهم من زوار الإمام الحسين عليه السلام الراجعين إلى ديارهم.
In recent years, scores of pilgrims have been killed in attacks blamed on Sunni extremists. And the recent attack is a testimony of the Islamic State's desperation as nearly 1 lakh Iraqi government forces advanced towards Mosul, the terror group's last stronghold in the country. Recently, government forces cut off roads west of Mosul that lead to Syria, severing a major Islamic State supply route. However, the terror group is not one to give up easily. Government forces have recovered drones that the Islamic State is using in its fight.
وفي أحد المنازل تم العثور على هذه الطائرات التي كان يستخدمها داعش لأغراض الاستطلاع وفي بعض الأحيان قد يستخدم فيها متفجرات لانتخاب أشخاص آمرين أو قادة أو مقرات.
The worst victims of the onslaught in Mosul are close to 1.5 million civilians who are caught in the fire. The government has advised people to remain in their homes, fearing the possibility of a large-scale exodus. However, there is little food, limited electricity and no running water for them here. UN says more than 68,000 people have been displaced in the fighting. The IS attacks in and around Mosul are unlikely to stop anytime soon, despite them suffering setbacks in their key stronghold. While retreating recently, the group set the Kayara oil fields to fire as it lost this major source of revenue to government forces. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Let's get you some more international news in Global Buzz. At least 36 people were killed and 95 injured when two passenger trains collided in northern Iran. The death toll is likely to rise. 4 carriages derailed and 2 caught fire after an intercity express broke down between stations and was hit by another train early on Friday. A mechanical failure had forced the intercity express train to stop between stations. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos and the leader of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, Timochenko, signed a revised peace agreement on Thursday. This came less than 2 months after a referendum narrowly rejected the original agreement. Santos said that the treaty will end the history of FARC as an armed group and the country will welcome a new era. 17 people were detained by Chinese police for a deadly accident at the under-construction power plant in Shaanxi province as the death toll on Friday mounted to 74. The search and rescue operations have reportedly been completed. Those killed and injured in the accident were working at the site when the platform collapsed. Hundreds of Malaysian Muslims marched in Kuala Lumpur on Friday to protest against escalating violence against Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar's Rakhine state. They called for Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi to do more for the Muslims who have been forced to flee the country. At least 86 people are reported to have been killed in escalating violence that has displaced about 30,000 people in the region's most serious bloodshed since hundreds were killed in communal clashes in 2012. On to some cricket news, and India will take on England in the third match of the 5-match test series at Mohali on Saturday. Well, Team India will be eyeing to take an unassailable 2-0 lead over England, with conditions in Mohali expected to assist spinners. Now, India has made 2 changes in the team. Bhuvneshwar Kumar has been brought back to the squad in the place of Gautam Gambhir, while wicketkeeper batsman Parthiv Patel replaces Riddhiman Saha, who was ruled out after he developed a strain during the second test at Visakhapatnam. On the English side, Jos Buttler will replace Ben Duckett in the third test. Stuart Broad and Zafar Ansari have both been ruled out, with Chris Wokes set to come back to the side. Remember, India lead the 5-match test series 1-0 as the two teams had played a draw in the first match, while the hosts claimed the second test by 246 runs. More sporting action in Sportsbeat. PV Sindhu advanced to the semi-finals of the Hong Kong Open Super Series badminton tournament. Sindhu defeated Singapore's Xiaoyu Liang 21-17, 21-23, 21-18 in the quarterfinals. However, Saina Nehwal bowed out of the event as she was stunned by local shuttler Cheng Nagyan Yi 8-21, 21-18, 19-21. South Africa's stand-in captain Faf du Plessis has appealed against ICC after being charged guilty of ball tampering. The matter will now be heard by a judicial commissioner who could declare du Plessis not guilty or amend the sentence and hand him over a 1-match suspension. Du Plessis was fined 100% of his match fee for tampering ball in Hobart Test. Former Liverpool and England captain Steven Gerrard on a Thursday announced his retirement from professional football, ending his 19-year-long career. Gerrard said that I have had an incredible career and am thankful for each and every moment of my time at Liverpool, England and LA Galaxy. He made 710 appearances for Liverpool, scoring 186 goals and winning 8 major trophies. That's all in this edition of News Tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.